Hey guys, Shawn Ziem, the Connection Machine, aka the Insurance Doctor, and the host of the Webtalk Legends Podcast. We appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. If you are live, don't forget, drop a hashtag live, or if you're on the replay, hashtag replay. I want to remind you what we're doing here. We're sharing someone's story. You're going to hear from our guests, their trials and tribulations, things that has happened in their past, what has worked for them, what has not worked for them. We want you to listen and learn. And we want you to make sure you take things from this and actually take action and implement some of the ideas, the strategies, the tips we talk about, and actually come back and drop a comment and, yo, Shawn, Glenn, this worked for us. So I want to make sure that you understand we are here to help you grow your business. You're not going to waste your time listening to what we're going to talk about. Housekeeping. The least you can do is hit like on this video. The second thing, drop comments, your favorite emoji. Make sure you are sharing this video at the end. And we want to make sure if you like or dislike things, drop comments. The algorithm helps us on YouTube by you engaging what we're talking about. Let me bring on a great friend of mine, Glen Baker. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, what's happening, brother?
How are you? Thanks so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's awesome.
We did this a long time ago, probably over 5, maybe 6 years ago, and we were at Dunkin' Donuts in Clifton, and I found this is the most powerful medium out there for putting things out there on a consistent basis. And I appreciate you and seeing your journey of what you've been doing the last number of years. We're going to go into this for sure. But before we get into it, Glenn, who are you and what do you do?
Cool. So Glen Baker, team leader at the MorrisAgent team, North Jersey, soon to be Greater Boston, Indiana, and Florida teams. We are kind of digital agency. I call it at its best. And right now we're at 11 agents, about 145 transactions a year. This coming year, 300 to 600 with our asset managers that we've taken under our wing here. And my background is I'm a corporate guy that retired out 4.5 years ago. I got into real estate, started the team 4 years ago. So everything you're hearing is a relative newbie in the industry. My last company sold for $91 million, and I'm hoping to sell this thing for more.
That is awesome, man. And I appreciate you taking some time out of your day. As you heard it from Glenn, doing lots of transactions, and he still has time because he is one that is very regimented, has a schedule, has things that he's doing. It's not just we're going to wing it during the day. And before we even get into it, you're a digital agency. Can you give us what is that? For those that are out there, you're not just into real estate. You are, and we talked about before we went live, lead generation. And I'm sure that's what you're going to share.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like when you digitally market a home, it requires some things, right? It's actually doing Facebook advertising, not boosts. I do targeted. I call it the sniper rifle opposed to the howitzer. But we're really targeted in how we market homes. We don't just leave it to the MLS. We're not Zillow haters, but we don't love them like we used to. And I think the answer here is that we have to be able to market using our own tools better than they can in order to not have that problem. So we've taken a very calculated approach in getting into people's wheelhouses and never leaving them. Once you're on our list, you get in the list, we provide you value, you stay with us, and then you become a part of the family. And that's the true digital agency surrounds you. And it doesn't just end when we close the transaction. It goes much further than that. And we stay connected through tools digitally, meaning online tools. And it's not just a simple email or text or the hokey things. You're all around. When you have a problem, you come to us.
Now, how did you learn about this? Most agencies are not doing, what you're doing. And we talked too, is you're not afraid to share the information too. And I appreciate hearing that.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason to have secrets. If you're that concerned about someone taking what you did and doing it, then you probably don't have much of a business, or you're not going to be progressive and waiting for the next thing. Everyone's always going to be 6 months behind if you're always progressive, right? When it comes to digital agency, my background in corporate life was digital. So we were doing AI well before it became in vogue last November. We were doing basically machine learning, neural logistics, all those things to do different projects. So I think that we did everything from estimating the T-Mobile jump program. So we built out the algorithms to tell how many devices would come in and what was going to break on them predictively. Wow. So my background's in digital. And what I did was I took it over to real estate. But I think that the most important digital aspect on earth is the most simple digital aspect on earth, right? Everybody's starting on their phone. Yeah. So if you're doing marketing and you have pictures and just pictures, I'm sorry, I feel to my core that you're doing a disservice to your sellers. They deserve video. They deserve immersive 3D. So do the buyers, right? People come into my homes and they say, I feel like I've been here already, because we put that out there for them in that way. And unfortunately, even 4 years later, there's still, only 3 to 5% of all listings on different MLSs have a video attached to them, right? And I think that I'm not talking about the Ken Burns effect either, right? I'm talking about actual video, not a panning photo show. I can do that. And I did that in 1980. It was great.
No, you got to do things that others are afraid to do. It's uncharted, waters that you want to get into, because if you're doing the same thing everyone else is doing, you're going to get the same result, and that's nothing. And it's something that you want to change the game. And you are a leader. You talked about how you sold your prior company. You don't really have to work, but you like to work, and you are doing many things, not just real estate. You're involved in the fire department. You're involved in the town.
Yeah.
How do you have time to do this, Glenn?
Yeah, we make priorities, right? That was the old adage: if you want something done, give it to the busy person. And I love it when people say, "Oh, I'm too busy," and I'm like, "How can you be? Like, I'm 40 hours a week as a fire chief, on top of volunteer, by the way, fire chief, not even paid." Right. And then on top of that, I'm doing real estate. And I tell everyone in real estate, it's very flexible hours. You can work any 20 hours of the day that you want to. Right. But you have to put in the time if you want to make the money. It doesn't just come. So I call it structure. I don't like the word discipline because it reminds me of Catholic school and my wrist after that. But I call it structure. Right. I put things on my calendar. I assume that what I put on my calendar is important enough to be on there. And then when it comes up, like our meeting 3 weeks later after we've talked about it, right, I go, wow, I trusted myself to put on the calendar. It's important. You need to do it. And I just do it. I just execute what I put on the calendar. It doesn't matter if it's half a year away. I trust that at that time it was important, and you do it. That's structure, right? Disciplines, I'm not so great on that word, because I think people hide behind it a bit and they don't get out of their own way, right? I just execute to a fault.
And it shows with your leadership. I mean, people say they have no time. You're a fire chief, and you're leading a real estate company team as well. And you find that time. It's something that with leading, I find this also true with you, is you're always learning. A lot of people think I'm at the top, I don't have to learn anymore. You are still learning and gaining information. How are you going about learning new stuff today?
Yeah, I consume information. So 3 to 5 hours a day is typically what my learning is. And it's everything. It obviously surrounds real estate, and a lot of it's about the fire chiefing thing, right? I want to stay current on techniques. In the fire service, we have something that we say 100 years of tradition unchanged by progress. I don't believe in that. I think we need to have progress and keep people safe with current risks. So when I'm on the team, though, the team piece, the team relies on me to deliver them the information. So if I can't collect it all and bring that back to them in a consequential way. And we meet every single day, right? It's not a casual, I meet my team once every 2 weeks. That's not enough. It's nowhere near enough. And I'm telling team leaders, it's not enough for what's coming in the future, because we're going to be in a skills-based industry. It's not going to be the happenstance my aunt needs to sell a house. So I think that the number of hours I put in directly correlates to the trainings that we do every day. I'm truly blessed. My team is so charitable in a lot of ways, because they've like attracted to me, and people who are do that. But there's times like this morning, we were on our morning huddle call, and I said, "Oh, I got to go, guys, fire call." And everyone just kind of goes on their way, and they don't look at it like I'm leaving him in a lurch. They look at it like he's doing something charitable. He'll be back, right? And he'll give us something great the next time. And but learning is it's endless. And when you talk about the technologies that are out there, like I'm working on a technology with somebody that you can literally peek around a wall in a house like this with your camera, and it lets you look and navigate with your head like you're walking through. Like I'm not looking at the simple, I have to do a Zillow 3D. I'm looking at how do I have my body walk through a house so that someone in California can look at a house in New Jersey. That's the type of stuff we're looking at.
Because you want to you have something to sell. You have a product. So, and that's the benefit. I'm in the insurance world, and I don't have a product. You don't see it. It's just an experience. But with real estate, you have to give someone an experience and show them step by step. And not just like you said, having images, that doesn't help. But if you're actually getting in there, you could be from California looking at a property in Jersey and vice versa. It's a powerful medium to utilize. And learning those, is that with AI? And how is that going about? How do you use or thinking about doing that?
Yeah, we've been pretty heavy duty AI users. And it's look at it like a multiplier. It's not the replacement, because right now, if you look at everyone's post, everyone's things, they all feel like AI, right? Like, and that's just a misuse of the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be an amplifier. So we talk a lot on our calls about that, but we have AI scheduling appointments automatically for us. We have AI finding out requirements for people for their homes. So if someone's kind of a top of funnel type lead, our AI engine's engaging with them, and then it puts them on a search list without us ever touching, right? And that's where AI is valuable, but you have to be very careful, right? Automated brain, if it takes away the personality, it's useless. That's why people do business with us, because we're who we are. And it's getting a little generic. I'll tell you, like, everyone hopped on the AI bandwagon when they all started to hear ChatGPT, and then all of a sudden you see all these AI generated images and AI generated everything. And unfortunately, it becomes just infiltrated in everything we do, and everyone gets desensitized to it, and they're waiting for real. And by the way, I commend you on doing these lives, because this is what people want. They want live, they want real, they don't want BS, they don't want produced.
Yes.
This is my ugly, and this is what I put out to the world, and I'm not doctoring it up. And I believe that people, if I have a message to give, then they're going to take it, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you're live, a lot of people have that fear. Oh my God, there's no script. I have people that will say, "Oh, what are you going to ask me?" I'm like, I have no idea, because we're doing this basically as if we were face to face. We're in person. We're just recording it, and people are seeing what we do. And that's another like trick or strategy that people should utilize. And you gain golden nuggets in the conversations if you're listening. People don't listen. That's the problem. And they're always, oh, what am I going to say next? I have no idea. But when things come in, that's where you're going to see the magic happens, because people are, and you want to know more about that person. Ask them different questions in that conversation that you're actually using your head with. That's the powerful thing.
Yep, 100%. Yep.
And it's something that a lot of people, I tell people all the time, you're going to be able to be hyper local or uber local, or you're the booting guy, like you're the chief, you're in town. People know that you are the one to go to. But people are like, oh, I do real estate everywhere in the state or everywhere in the country. I'm like, why? You want to be able to give it to a team member and maybe get less money because you get a referral fee, but you now have your time and you're making money as you're doing your thing, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's where that team comes into play, right? Like I can't be everything to everyone. And even when I started to do commercial, I brought on someone that does commercial with me. Like, I didn't go in and go, I'm going to do a commercial. I go, no, I'm not going to mess this up and hurt somebody. And if I have that premise with everything I do, then you bring in the right people without even thinking twice about it, right?
So I know you work. I know you have time. You even took time and you went on a vacation. Was it 30 days or 60 days? How long was it?
Just under 40. And thank you for watching. Like when I hear people watched, I hope that everyone took the message. It wasn't Glenn flaunting he was going places, because it was pretty rudimentary. A lot of these places you weren't like, you were slumming it a little bit, right? Right. But the lesson to be learned is, man, life is uber short. And if you don't go do stuff, that's not living. Like, why do we work if we're not going to do that stuff?
You said it right. A lot of people love to work and they live to work. I don't like to work that much. I want to use the time with my family, get to know, be deeper in there, not just work. Because I see it all the time. There's memes and there's things on social media. Your kids will know how many hours you work in your week. They know if you missed a soccer game or a ballet or this because of work. You want to be able to, yes, you're going to miss once in a while, but if it's all the time, Dad's always missing it, Mom's always missing it. That's not what they want. They want you to be present in their life.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the backstory. Maybe I'll share it for 1 second here. And my getting into real estate came from corporate life. And in corporate life, I traveled about 200 days a year. I was on the road 200 days a year. And I had a series of things that went on. I got into a second marriage, had 8 kids total. And 2 of my sisters between 2016 and 2018 committed suicide. And I remember saying to my wife, like, I'm not dying on a plane. Like that, I'm here working for somebody else. My heart's not in it. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something that I'm in control of, and I'm home and I'm local. And if I didn't make that change and decide that I'm not doing that, I wouldn't be fire chief. I wouldn't have the real estate team. I wouldn't have met some of the greatest agents in the world. It's a really wild thing. So,
no, I applaud you, and I appreciate you being transparent and sharing that again. In America, mental health, and I talk about this often with other gentlemen as well. We don't talk about things that go on in our life. We don't talk about bad things. We always talk about the good things. But you just said your sisters committed suicide. what were some steps that you took personally to get over, not even get over, to deal with the fact of that happening in your life?
Yeah, I haven't even started grieving, I think. At least I don't think I have. I went the other route where I want to talk about it to everybody. You remember when cancer was a thing? Everyone's like, "Ooh, she has cancer." Yeah. They wouldn't talk about it. And now we openly talk about it. Mental illness, drug abuse, all the substance abuse that are out there, they're all related to mental illness of some sort. And I was kind of close to it. I grew up in a pretty conservative world, and we didn't talk about those things. And I remember saying to my brother, "Hey, I think I want to tell everyone the story. I want them to know it." And in fact, I have a video that I'm producing right now about the story so people can understand, because the problem that we have is if you don't talk about how they behaved before it happened, and there was lead ups, I just wasn't smart enough to know it, and then I did enough homework to figure it out, then you're never going to prevent it. And we who are the family member, the person right next to them, with all the time talking with them, if we can't identify, no one else is going to be able to. So it's I got involved with a company that they call it QPR, which is essentially mental health CPR. That's really good. And it's based on a series of questions that you ask. And I became an instructor for that, and I give it away for free. I've gotten involved in the Mental Health Association's Yellow Table Project, which puts yellow tables out in communities. And it's intended for people to come to and be able to talk openly about things. I'll be honest, like, I'm a little wonky with this whole safe space stuff. I'm not like there, but I do absolutely believe you should be able to have open dialogues. I there's a difference between an excuse. Like, I could have huddled in a corner and cried about my sister's dying, right? And I called it out of order death. Or I could just go and make a change and do something about it. And I just chose the other side of that. But from a getting over it, I don't think I'm quite there yet. I'm hoping the video helps a little bit. And I think that telling the story, because we've had one save from the trainings that I did. And I have to tell you, like, that to me was like, it was better than grabbing someone out of a burning building, because we were able to take them out of a situation when you think everything's bad. And I had this, I used to put notes on my kids' door when they were younger, and it said, tomorrow's another day. But if you don't give tomorrow another day, you never get a shot at everyone wakes up, and in the morning, it's always better. For some reason, it just gets better every day. And I hope that everyone gives that a shot.
No, it's definitely, I appreciate hearing that. The yellow table thing is fantastic. It's giving change, giving opportunities, giving options for people. And that's something that we all have to start talking more about. And it's refreshing to hear that from you, as far as putting it out there and educating and teaching others. And another thing Glenn does, man, like, it's a beautiful thing. It's just something I keep going, man, keep rolling. And it's never getting over it. You're always going to remember them. It's just something that we all have, not even like baggage or luggage that we have from our past. We have to be able to continue moving forward. That Rocky, quotes, there are always down times, but we always have to push ourselves through it. Yeah. Was there any other areas in your life besides the suicides that you had some difficulties that you would love to share with us?
Well, I mean, I grew up fairly poor. I always kid that I was the poorest kid in Parsippany, but I know it sounds odd because it's a rather affluent town. But I went to Catholic school and basically paid my way through school by cleaning leaves and loading soda machines. My parents negotiated a way to do it. So I always was kind of taught hard work. I had a lemonade stand that was so large that the town shut it down. But I loved business. I always loved the hustle. I always loved doing those things. I've owned 100 different businesses. When I had my first house, I had I was delivering newspapers. Like, when people say they're above anything, I kind of say BS. Like, when you have a child's mouth to feed, you better go work 3 jobs until things get better. And it will get better. Like, opportunity will present itself if you work hard enough.
Very, very true. And I say you don't grow up until you have kids, because you don't have to worry about somebody. You just live your life. But when you have to take care of another human being, keep them alive, because that first night in the hospital is nothing. Like, a nurse comes in, they takes the baby. The next night you go home, or it depends on when in your journey. Whenever you go home, that first night it's a horrible night, because nobody teaches you. There's no book, but it's something that you now have to really wake up and mature. Because has it changed you as far as being a dad?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I always say I'm going to be a much better grandfather than I was a father. I was on the road a lot when they were young, never missed the events, but always was never home, right? You weren't present if you're on the road 200 days a year. You can't be. And we made a trade-off, right? I look at it now like I'm just gobbling it up. And you see a lot of my trips in the RV. It's always rotating around to see my kids. So, and that's what I really take a lot of joy in right now, watching them blossom and being like, wow, they're kicking some butt. It's cool. And Ryan, my son, is on the team as well with me. So yeah, it's super psyched.
Now with RVing, and my wife has watched your journey as well, and she's like, we have to get one of those things. And then I have some friends like, you don't want to spend that kind of money because it's just like a boat. You know, it just depends on your situation. But if you're going to use it, I say, hell, go for it, right?
Yeah, 30 days a year. If you use it more than 30 days a year, you're probably going to be worthwhile to do it. And remember, it's having home when you're on the road, right? So there's a feeling that comes along with that. I've been doing it for almost 30 years now. Huge fan. And I do it with work. We have it set up where we have 2 different offices in the RV, and we basically can work remotely. The only thing I can't do is show houses and be in person. But I did plenty of listing appointments on FaceTime. When people think you can't do these things, I've done a ton of these on FaceTime. It's total nonsense you're selling yourself if you think you can't do a remote listing appointment. And also, if you think you can't market, create checklists, create processes, and then have people that can execute them. And I love sharing the deals on my team while I was on the road. And here's the crazy thing. I take 40 days off. I have my best 4 months in history when I get back. And it didn't mean I built up everything 4 months before. I came back refreshed, smart, different, and yeah, blew it up. This is my best month ever in history. And in the worst, I guess, economy everyone's complaining about, you know, it's one of those things.
Yeah, no, you have to, rest, recuperate, mind as well.
Yes.
But yeah, like you said, being remote with all your jobs, everyone thinks you have to be in person. You can do a StreamYard, a Zoom, a FaceTime, a video call, whatever you got to do. I tell people, don't use the phone anymore. Use a video call because you're now in person. You can see it if they're, right there with you. And that's the difference. People that want to work will be able to work. The ones that won't, they're not going to, and they're going to complain, oh, the market's horrible. They're not putting the time in. It's not difficult to use this. And you can use this anywhere, at the beach. You could be on vacation, like Glenn said, and still hustle and make things happen.
Yeah, we are in the most blessed times, right? Everything is at the palm of your hand. The information, like I think college is for certain people. I absolutely agree with it 100%. I just go, man, I have so much really relevant today information in my hand, not time lapse that gets into a book in college. And this is like, again, I don't want a doctor not going to college. I don't want an engineer not going to college. But if you're an entrepreneur, I don't know that college today makes as much sense, because half the time when I went into those classes, I'm like, hold on a second. I'm in this master's class, and the teacher has never started a company, and I'm about to sell mine for $91 million. Like, what are they offering me? And I get into that mode of, there are some really influential people, and even the broadband people, Gary Vee and those guys, they have some very relevant messages that are in today's market that you can kill it with if you really do listen to what they're saying. And ironically, they're all pawning the same stuff, right? It's success leave clues, and it's all similar stories. No one does it. No one executes it.
Like Glenn was saying earlier, he could tell you word for word what his team does, how he markets, listing sheets he's got, or buyers situations. People won't do it. They'll complain. Well, it takes time. Yeah, a lot of things take time, but you got to put your time in. You have to keep pushing. Your consistency is very important. But yeah, having those markers in place, when you have it, take advantage of it. But people they don't think it's going to work. Oh, it works for Glenn. It's not going to work for me.
Yeah. And the mystery of everyone, oh, he must be cheating somehow. I love that one when people thought it. And then when they realize, oh my God, he really is putting a chimney cap on that chimney for that house to close the deal. Like, yeah, that's the way it works, right? I saw a problem and I figured out the solution to not have pain. And if you take away people's pain, it's a very powerful, powerful tool. Unfortunately, I just feel like our industry hasn't done, and when I say our industry, I think largely brokerages aren't training people properly. They're bringing them in. They're doing a recruitment job. But when it comes to really supporting them along the way, it's just not there. And that's why I truly believe teams are the wave of the future. I think that there is, and maybe they're called teamerages, like the little teams that become brokerages. But I've seen a few in New Jersey. I think one of them you actually interviewed some time back, and he's doing great. And it's not hard to get into anything in real estate. It's hard to stay in anything in real estate. I look forward to the time when we're 10 years in and we've doubled every year, and I can look back and people will stop going, it's just a flash in the pan. This isn't a flash in the pan. I did this on the prior company exactly the same way. I'm just replicating it in real estate, right? So it's wild. I can't wait for a little more tenure so people don't think that this is just, these guys are just, they got lucky. There's no luck. We work 20 hours a day.
You're making your own case study, and that's the shame that you just said it. Like nobody wants to, support something unless they know exactly it's happening. You're making it happen. You're showing your tidbits of what's going on, and you're growing. People are like, but when you, like you said, 10 years from now, they're, oh shit, he really is for real. All you had to do is jump on board earlier, and you would have been in the same position or better. But you don't, and you just make complaints or excuses of what's going on. Now, to have this kind of energy, I'm sure health is very important to you. And I want to end on this because it's important to me. I know it's, if you are not healthy, you can't perform at your highest level that you're in, that I am. What are you doing? I know you're doing different things for your health.
Yep.
Let's share some things for those that are watching.
So since being fire chief, I don't drink anymore. That's one thing. So I loved the bar chatter. So I'm not saying get hammered. I'm just saying the bar chatter and having some drinks. So I don't do that anymore. I'm not quitting. When I'm done being fire chief, I'll go back and have some social stuff. From a fitness perspective, I'm a tonal fan. I've been using a tonal since COVID hit. And a big fan of it. I like the fact that I don't have to think, I just have to do. I don't get much of that in my life, so I like to do that. And then from life perspective, I lived a long time. I lived 2.5 years in India, and I picked up some of their traits. Some of them were like simple things, like I take turmeric. I've always taken turmeric. I do fasting, and I don't even know I do fasting. People do it as an event. I just do it because it's the way that I live. I don't even know. I don't know how to do a life without it because I've done it for so long. And then I'm a coffee fanatic. You've seen me drinking here. That's one thing I am. And I don't know. I can drink coffee and go to bed. I sleep 7 hours a night. Well, roughly. It's actually getting better rather than worse. I was terrible in my youth. And I realized that I wasn't really sharp as I could be. And then I started to get to 6.5 hours, 7 hours. And now I'm at 7 hours. And people think I don't sleep, but I absolutely do sleep. My performance. But that's why in the morning I can do 5 hours of work. And it's a person's 3 days worth of work because I get shot out of a cannon in the morning. Sauna, a big sauna fan. I definitely do sauna work. And that's kind of, I guess that's the gist. I will say pretty protein centric. I don't put a label on it. I just eat a lot of protein. And I pack my lunches. when I go out on the road for a day, I take my lunch with me. I don't take chances in trying to figure out what I'm going to get because I know whatever I'm going to do is not going to do it for me. And this is a lifestyle, right? So I've done this for such a long time, and I look at a lot of friends, and it's unfortunate, right? Like friends that were close to me and how they've kind of fallen apart both health-wise and everything else. And I've always been able to maintain it. And the last thing I want to do is go into a fire building and have a heart attack, right? Like I can't do that. So I recommend everyone get full battery cardiac physicals once a year. Once you're over 50, do all the right things, man. Just take care of yourself because everything's so preventable. All those cancers we hear people, stage 4 cancer used to be a death knell. People are living many, many years after. Like it's all prevention. My food is my medicine.
Well said, man. Well said. And if you have as you can tell, the energy, the caffeine is important. I know it helps me as well to keep us going. But yeah, keeping yourself healthy. My thing too is I want to be young. I have younger kids. I want to be around. I want to make sure that I'm still active. I want to be like, that's your dad or that's grandpa. Yeah. Be like, that's the kind of the example I want to lead as far as keeping myself healthy, keeping in check, making sure that we are living the longer life that we can and expect to live.
Yeah, and Shawn, I actually believe in it so much that I did this experiment. They're now at the 6-week point. I have someone who lives locally. I'm selling their house, and she's an excellent health coach. Mary Ellen Zung is her name, and she's doing health coaching with 2 of my agents, not because they're ill but because they're on the rise. And I know that it's very hard to sustain being that person on the rise without having your health intact. So I actually purchased for them from the team sessions for 8 weeks. And they're basically going through and learning how to manage, and specifically on the road manage or with kids manage. There's a lot of different variables in our lives. And I just believe so much in it that I gave it to the team members. And I'm planning on, it's been so successful, I'm going to do 2 every 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm just going to keep giving it to the team members because their health, they can't possibly, look, we're all in this to make money, right? Like make no mistake, I come to work to make money, but I can make money and have good things around me, good people, do things for the community. We've given almost $400,000 in 4 years back to veterans and military police teachers and stuff, right? Like the big numbers, but you can have that and the other. You don't have to be mutually exclusive. And my team's just as important. They can't perform at their optimal if I don't get them that help.
It's fantastic. Let's end on this. I would love for you, I'd like to share how, and do you manifest? Is there anything you want to manifest that we can look back at this video later on? Like, shit, that really happened.
Locations. For some reason, I always wanted to have a lot of domestic locations, and I'm kind of manifesting that now. And it's becoming real. All through my life, I've done it. Like when I couldn't afford a car, I sat outside on my bicycle and looked at cars at car dealers, right? It's been the whole thing. I've always dreamed that way. But this multi-location, having a team across borders, what it says is what I've created is resilient. It's not a flash in the pan, single agent trying to do business, right? I'm trying to create a process that is an experience no matter what state you're in. And if that really kicks off, boy, man, I don't know what the next big hurdle is. All 50 states, or I don't know.
That's it. You heard it here. So when we come back in, 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now, we'll see where we're at with Glen Baker and his team of brokerages, what have you. So
yeah,
Glen,
and also nobody cares. Work harder.
you got to have things that you look at in your space to make you continue working hard and staying positive. So Glen, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate you sharing all these golden nuggets. If you just tuned in now, wait until this uploads, take a look at some of the golden nuggets that were in our conversation. And any final thoughts?
I say it to everybody. If you want me to share anything I'm doing real estate wise, buy me a cup of coffee. I'll show you anything I do. It's up to you if you do something with it, but I'll talk to anybody.
That's it. And all this content, the information is in the description. And we hope you have an awesome rest of your day.
Yeah. Thanks, Shawn.